what the state needs is that if you agree that it's a good thing and you want it to happen, we have a resolution just approving that you're okay with them getting a license. And it goes back to the state. They will investigate them, and then they will decide whether or not they get the license. All we're doing is saying, yes, we like it, or no, we don't like the idea. So that's pretty much what it is, and a chance for the public to say what they want.
And in the old way, we just approved them.
I think those are for the ones that happen, especially
Special
this,
deal.
yeah, this is when somebody, they're applying for the license for the business.
Not for the special.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, this is,
Sure.
and I looked up, there are a few others in the book from way back years ago when they changed ownerships and stuff, and it's been that way for quite some time. You just get the, because if you say no, that you don't want it, it actually, I was reading tonight, that doesn't actually mean the state will deny it. They'll take that into consideration, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll deny it. They're just giving you a chance to help them buy if you like it or if you would like them to have it. So,
And this is related to the fact that this is a new licensee, right?
yes, yep.
So do we have a resolution in our packet?
Nope, I just wrote it up. I'll read it to you. Well, you
I
said
just wanted to
first
know.
find out if they want, huh? Well, first you need to find out from the audience if they like it. You won't need a resolution if they don't like it, if you guys don't approve it, if you don't want to, approve anything. Here, I'll pass you down and get a look at it.
Any concerns from audience and the council?
I would just highly recommend it. I grew up for next door to me, and it's been in the family for 3 generations now, and they provide a good service to our community.
Generates lots of time.
Absolutely.
And some good food. So if there are no other concerns, like to
You
begin.
need a motion to close it and we'll do the
Okay, we'll do the-
resolution after. Yep. I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to close the public hearing. With that,
Oh.
vote would be Waldner,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yep.
and okay. Then we need a motion to begin the regular city council meeting.
Yes. I'll make a motion to begin the regular city council meeting.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. No,
Yes.
Murphy?
Yep.
Wald.
Yes.
Okay, the first item is.
On the resolution.
Okay.
So do you want to give the resolution then? Resolution 11-14-24-1, a resolution of the city of Crofton, Knox County, Nebraska, regarding city council approval of issuance of liquor license to Jillian Marie McCoy for Weeble House Recreation. Whereas the city of Crofton, Knox County, Nebraska, believes that Weeble House Recreation is a wonderful asset to the city of Crofton, and the city council wants the restaurant and bar to remain open. Be resolved by the city of Crofton, Knox County, Nebraska as follows. The city council with unanimous vote approved the issuance of a liquor license to Jillian Marie McCoy to operate the Weeble House Recreation. This resolution is adopted and passed by the mayor and city council of the city of Crofton, Knox County, Nebraska, this 14th day of November 2024.
Motion to approve. Motion's been made and seconded. Murphy?
Yes.
Heights? Yes. Waldner?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay, good. Motion to need a motion to begin a regular city council first item of new business was speed bump sign. I had a call into and a concern, of potential liability of, bicyclists and or motorcycle riders. The state recommends that you have some notification, a sign for the speed bumps. I don't know if we have to take the sign down and take the speed bump down or whatever, but there's some notification that there's on the, both ends of Sharon Street, that there are speed bumps. And so I didn't get a bid
know, I already kind of put my name in for being on the agenda today. And I talked with her, within the last week about this part, the $2,000. Cause she talked to me about, the city's willingness to help out again. But she said, hey, we really need to have some sort of like understanding of what you're doing down there, or what you've done, what you have planned to do. think we need an outfield fence.
Can you make that field be big enough that you can actually play tournament games on it?
I think you could, yeah. I
Is
think
that kind of what you're thinking about doing? Because if we're
possibly,
gonna put
but,
money into it, we might as well put money into it to use.
Put a fence in
You know,
like
so
a
that-
regular ball field.
So that when you do have them tournaments, you know, you can have 3 teams going down there instead of just 2 maybe.
yeah, and obviously that would be a huge advantage if we could do that.
Is there enough room to do that? That's what I'm asking, how far, the distance wise, you know, from home plate to the fence for this age group you're gonna talk about.
Yeah, I mean, Little League and softball, you know, if you're gonna go by regulations, I think you're looking at a 200-foot fence, basically all the way, yeah, all the way
Radius
around.
around, so from center field over second base would be 200, and then we could angle that way,
Yeah, from the plate,
from the home plate.
home plate to center field, yeah, and then, yeah, exactly, just angle back and forth, so. I mean, yeah, I would say the maximum, you know, that'd be great, you know, just as a minimum, just having some improvements down there would, you know, would definitely, I mean, even in those situations where we have tournaments and the 2 fields are busy, you know, it would be nice to, you know, have another option available for teams to come down and get themselves warmed up, or, you know, take ground balls on an actual dirt field or whatever, so,
So the conditions are the same.
yeah, right.
But that field's awful low, so we have to build up the infield with the negative line, you know, slope it, and then be sure that water, you know, when it rains, you get off someplace.
Yeah, I would say so. I don't have,
We don't wanna have a swamp in there when it rains, they can't
Right.
play on it. Build it up in the middle and then put a header line over the top of our dirt and pack it down.
right.
So
actually sent me a new one, and it says that they're going to start the new pricing as of December first, which actually will show up on a bill in January, because it'll be for December's billing, and we bill a month behind, because we don't know how much garbage we pick up until after it's done. Anyways, you'll see on there that I gave you new papers today that, show that, they are, proposing a $2.75 increase in both residential and, senior pickup. They are also going to, change our garbage, carts out here for the fire department and auditorium, to, $31 a month, and that's going up too. Also, 10% of mine and Chantel's and, Dustin's pay actually comes out of this, revenue, because we work on, oh, not, oh, Marlene, oh, not Dustin, okay. Anyways, three of us, part of our wages comes out of this. So, Chantel and I went over and over the numbers. We are actually in, the red on this, and that is because of that coming, our wages coming apart from it, and because we got so far behind with recycling. Never made any money on that. We looked at everything. You can see I gave you what we charge, what we are charged, and what they are going to charge us. And unfortunately, I have the bad news of saying that we recommend that we raise residential and senior prices to up by $2.75 an account. And we raise the extra carts, to, $12, which will just be exactly what they're, going to charge us for it.
I'll make that motion.
No, sir.
Motion's been made and seconded. Murphy?
Yes, sir.
White? Florida?
Yes.
And Miller.
Yes.
All right, next issue is, water discoloration. We have a continual issue with water, and I brought a sample with from a patron. And this morning, this was his water that he tried to do his laundry and take care of his family with that. That is the water after it was passed through this filtration, and this was white at one point in time. I don't know how often he replaced, oh, this is from, was installed November first and then removed November 13th. He did take upon himself to take his water and have a sample sent into Nebraska, the Good Life, Public Health Environmental Lab. He got the report back, and he thought there must have been an error. The reading that's satisfactory was 300 units per liter or something like that, whatever it is. And his current well reading, not well reading, his water reading is 4,800, 16 times the recommended safe for iron in his water. The magnesium, manganese is okay, it's in the range, but that's what he had out of this tap. The gentleman on the phone said, and I quote from the provider here that brought this up, is that please shut your some way to possibly make that situation better. And I don't think there's a magic liner that we can roll out through the pipes like we did with the sewer.
No, I don't think.
But, I mean, if it needs replacement and it needs multi-million dollars down the road for the quality of life, and we all know that the quality of life and life expectancy, especially women during pioneer times to now, is based on the quality of water. And so it's huge, it has a huge impact on our health. So I'll do whatever I can to help us move forward on this. With that, we have a variance, for the Colton lease. I don't know much about that, but she was here with them.
John, go ahead.
The Coltermans, you know where they live up there in Tucker Hill, then you go south from the cemetery, that group of houses up there. You have two lots, like, they're 2 acres each. They wanna put a machine shed on one of the lots. It's transitional ag, they can do that. The size is not an issue, but they wanna place it 25 feet from the back of the lot, which would be the east side of the lot, away from the highway. And the ordinance would require 65 feet in transitional ag. So they're asking for a variance to allow them to put 25 feet from the property line. And they had the property owner on that side sign the variance, which was Merkel, so the only thing that's holding up that building application to be approved is the variance, which the city council has to approve all variances. So that's what we're asking is to approve that variance to be 25 feet instead of 60.
We did similar to the other property owner.
Yes, and we did that a couple years ago. There's another building up there with the adjacent property to the south, which we did a variance also for a machine shed of this size.
Make the motion to give the variance.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded, Pike? Bauman?
Yep.
Miller?
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Okay. Next item would be to appoint Larry Pike to serve as the Knox County Open Development Association's representative. I have been tentatively serving in that position. I cannot serve in that position as mayor if it doesn't clearly stated in the grant application with the intended purchase of the car. But at that point in time, there was no resources available. I can't remember when I was invited to the watchdog committee, when there was supposed to be funds of upward of $250,000 were supposed to have been generated from this, and at that point in time, I think there was $30,000 at that point in time when I was actually part of the watchdog committee, and I asked, you know, all right, so anyway, there was not resources to do anything, but there was a plan, and that plan was put forth in place in good faith with that plan to do things to help our community grow. And so we have that plan, and the grant was written and approved by council multiple times. And so what they proposed was approved and approved and approved, but there wasn't any resources to really make anything happen. And then that process stopped, and now there are resources available, and we wanted to, by grant application, based upon the grant and the process that was already approved, to get that money out there in the community and get it to work. Because over and over again, when I proposed this, looking back at and watching videos, the consensus is we need to put that money to work. And that we made a promise to put that money to work in our community. And so here we are at this point in time. And so a lot confusing or whatever, and a lot of it falls on the responsibility of me. I'm not the world's greatest grant writer person, whatever happens to be the case. There were multiple grants that were brought to my attention. We looked through them, gave them to economic development. They had no issues with them, and so we were gonna do that money. And so I'm gonna defer this point in time to Bobby, if you'd like to step in, or if this is a claim point in time, or more or less, or
Yeah, I'm happy to, can I approach the podium? Would that be better? Approach the bench? I brought, several copies, so I think this could, if you guys are comfortable, I think this could, blend with the, committee reports, economic development, because they do kind of go together. So, I'm Bobby, know people too much like you guys are probably dealing with right now. But I do think the grant applications that you are reviewing are in accordance with your plan. You probably just didn't have enough members at your last meeting. If the state auditor were to come back, which you guys know that the state auditor knows where Crofton is at, and the state auditor has a much more thorough attitude when it comes to municipal finances than they probably did 5 or 10 years ago. So, I'm glad that that it's back on your agenda to review, because I don't think, I would hate for you to have to issue those grants to those businesses and then to have to come back around and take the money back. Because I run a small business, and once you give me cash, you won't get it back. So, because it's already been put into some kind of badly needed use. So I think you made the right call by not issuing those grants. I have some recommendations though, moving forward on your economic development plan. So do you want to talk about just the 13,500 that we're dealing with right now? Do you want to talk more big picture?
Do we have the sum total of all?
Because since your last meeting, you've received additional applications, right?
All of these.
And so what is the sum of those applications?
Don't know.
Okay.
You're 22,000.
Okay, so 22,000,
Additional? Okay.
so 22,000 plus 13,500, so roughly $25,000, right? And then Chantel, you have about what is the amount of money you have in your ED fund right now? I keep thinking 16,000, but I think
That's it.
The P&L reflects the 13,500. Because I did write the check, but they have not been sent out.
okay, so what's in the account after the 13,000? 76,000. Okay, because comparable numbers, let's just say 75,000. Okay, and then so 75,000 is in there, assuming that you are going to issue these 13,500 after you vote on it with an adequate quorum. Okay, so then if we have another $25,000 worth of grant applications that are in accordance with the document that I just passed out, then we would still be sitting with roughly $50,000 in the account. So, I really like the LD 840 program, but I would like to see you going forward work with bigger numbers. And so, just to clarify, because I know it can get very confusing very quickly, the situation that you are in with your lost economic development funds is that the money you raise now, you raise through your sales tax, right? 20% of your 1% sales tax. The resolution that you passed back in 2009, when the voters must have voted on this in 2008, said that you would stop collecting funds on March 31st, 2024, until you could renew the plan. Because the plan is usually 15 years is how long it lasts, and then you have to renew it. So you were you were smart in the way you put your sales tax in place, because your 1% sales tax, there's no sunset on your 1% sales tax. So you can collect your 1% sales tax as long as you want. But the 20% of your 1% sales tax, the voters need to renew the economic development plan to continue to fund your economic development plan with that 20%. So right now, as of March 31st, 2024, which remember, you usually get, so this is sales tax money, right? So you were supposed to stop collecting in March. You probably didn't get March payment until June, right? Because it's always a couple months late, right? Because the state gets their sales tax from the businesses. They, of course, take their piece of it first, and then they take their fee for doing this for you, and then they send it back to you. So it always comes 2 months late. So as of June 2024, you could not put any more money into your economic development fund from that 1% sales tax. So we don't have a steady stream of income anymore until you vote on a new plan. So when I wanted to work for you this summer, and I looked through your book of resolutions and realized this, we probably could have tried to get a new plan on the agenda in November in the account. So, in the memo that I submitted to you, the first half of it is just a summary of what we did August through October. And then the second half of it is what we're proposing to do November through February. So, if there's something going on in between those months, I will come back anyway if we have something we need to do. But if we're just doing, a regular update, then the months I come, I'm here now in November, right? And then I'll owe you another timesheet and another memo in February. So what I wanna do from now until February is mostly focus on this economic development plan. And so I have the first date, November 15th, which is today, which is, I am volunteering and also requesting, because I'm a neutral, because I'm a third party, and I'm an economic development specialist, if you would like me to review the applications that you have received and create a worksheet so that we can track each application. And then, according to the plan I passed out to you, there's not a lot of criteria that you're supposed to meet to receive the grant, right? But I could go through and create a checklist, and I could review each application for you, because I don't know the business owners personally, so I could look at the application and make sure that the application is thorough. I could double check with Donna and Chantel and make sure that all their bills with the city are current. If if the business owes the city money for any reason, I can make sure that's current. And then I could also just make sure that every grant that you're issuing is in accordance with your plan. And I could come back to you with a recommendation of which ones I would recommend that you would or would not fund. I won't be making a personal judgment on that. It will just be to verify that the applications you've received also match the grants. And then there's not near as much of a risk of a conflict of interest for me, because the only person I have business connections with is the city of Crofton. So I'm saying I could do that for you in the next 4 weeks if you guys want to do it that way. So that would be the first step of this plan I have, is between now and December 10th, your next meeting, to review the applications that you've received. And in the document, I said, in accordance with the Lost Economic Development Fund budget, for fiscal year 10/1/2021 through 9/90/2022, I think that's 9/30/2022. That's what I just said to you. And then I would also strongly recommend that you set a moratorium on receiving any more of these grant applications. And the reason that I'm recommending that you do that is because we don't have a steady stream of money coming into this fund right now. So it'd be like if you lost your job, we're still gonna pay our basic bills, but we don't have a steady stream of income coming in right now. So we wanna slow down. And then in the meantime, if we have $50,000 left, right? We have 75,000 in there after the 13.5, we have 50,000 left. I would like to apply for a USDA grant, Rural Business Development Program. I don't love all USDA programs, but this one I'm comfortable with. And this is an economic development or business support grant program. It's not a grant to businesses. It's a grant to local governments to set up a revolving loan fund for businesses. And the grant can also pay for technical assistance. So we can apply for up to $99,000, but we have to have a third of that in match. So I wouldn't want to use all of the funds that you have left, right? So on the second page, I have a breakdown of what I'm recommending. So we could take 22,000 out of the 50,000 that's left. That could be our match. And then we could apply for a $66,000 USDA grant, Rural Business Development Grant. So that's why it's 66,000, because we need to do a third. That would give us a total total project amount of 88,000. Now, because some of that money can go to pay for technical assistance, and because I can see that you probably would pay me out of your economic development fund, and I can also see that you don't have money going into your could go into, your economic development fund, but it would be a revolving loan fund. So I am recommending that, after this batch of grant applications comes through, I'm recommending that you don't do any more, grants. And I know that may make me unpopular, but I think that if you have, $50,000 to $90,000 of funds to do like a low interest or a no interest loan to a small business, that's providing major service for the community, that's going to go further for the community than these smaller grants. I know those are really nice, but, running a small business, people only get $2,500 are gone. So, I'm recommending that you would do that. So if we receive this USDA grant, then we'd have a $64,000 revolving loan fund. I have told Bob what I'm up to, and I have spoke to a handful of people in your community, that I believe would be good on a loan review committee. I know you have an economic development group right now that's worked on this. I would like to change the structure of that committee, just because first of all, I know that if I'm asked to volunteer on a committee, I want it to be a committee that I can do as part of my day job, so I don't have to take any more nights. And then also, I like to ask people with finance background or legal background that are accustomed to looking at projections and profit and loss and balance sheets. And then I would also help the loan review committee. So if we transition from grants to loans, then I do understand the administrative demand is greater, but I also know that I could provide that service for you within the scope of work that we have now. And so if we have a business that wants to apply for a loan, I would receive the application and the documents that go with any, loan application. And then you have the loan review committee make a recommendation to the council. Let's assume it's all good, the council approves the loan, and then I would have the ability to close the loan. So I did work for 18 months, before I started this business, I did work for 18 months as a loan officer with Nebraska Enterprise Fund. So I'm comfortable with, dealing with loan applications, looking at projections, knowing what we need to make a loan, and also closing the loan. I wouldn't receive any loan payments, that would be Chantel, but if a business is in trouble, then I would be the one that goes and meets with the business, because I don't live here, I don't wanna tell people in Kearney what's going on with my small business. So, I feel like I could help, I feel like that would make it sustainable. And then in the meantime, we could update your economic development plan so that it more matches the laws that have been passed in the legislature since 2009, and then we could prepare the community to vote on this again in May of 2026, when we have a primary. So it's like we would have, if the USDA grant is successful, we would have some money to start doing smaller revolving loan funds now, but then in the background or parallel to that, we would also be getting your economic development plan updated. And so I'll update your plan. I will not campaign for the city, but I will educate the community on what the economic development plan is, how it works, why the things that are in the plan are in the plan. So that's my plan for how we move forward from here.
Is there, we have, tentatively at $50,000, and if the loans all get approved, should we try to maximize that full $99,000 and use $25,000 of our resources so we can get every pay that's available? Because we'll still have $25,000 remaining. Is that in our best interest to try to do that, or is that, if we have the $88,000 number there, is it gonna be different than asking for $99,000? Because I'd like to get every.
So if you wanna ask for 99,000, then your match is just 33,000 out of the 50,000 that you have, which leaves you 17,000, which I don't know if you're comfortable with that. But
It's not that way here. 22 times 3, I'm 66.
yeah, so 66, so 22,000 be local from you, you'd be asking for 66.
Okay, so can we
technical assistance, right, yeah.
Right.
And you probably wouldn't, and so I have in here that you could probably get reimbursed, for our, like, probably our summer and fall invoices of next year. Because I do need to send a letter of, I can send it on my own as your economic development representative, I do need to send a letter of intent just in by November 21st. But the application's not due till February, and then we probably wouldn't find out until like May, and then because it's federal money, there'd be a whole like stack of papers that you're gonna have to sign and resolutions international jobs, so you're not gonna discriminate or displace any babs or God knows what else. Or maybe it'll be less, I don't know, now.
If we get the grant, when would we, if we got the grant, when would we expect money?
I think you could start to see money in June, so like
Oh, June 2024?
25.
Or 25? Yeah.
Yeah, so like, February I'll come here and I'll invoice you, March, April, May. I think maybe you could get reimbursed for my invoice in May of 2025 and August of 2025.
Should we set the 25, let's just use 25,000 number.
That's fine.
If we don't get the grant, that money goes right back into the,
Yeah, it never really, that money, because the piece of your money that I wanna use as match is only gonna go to a business. So it's always gonna sit in your account, so we're gonna say we have 25,000 as our match, but then Chantal just earmarked that as this is our match for the USDA, so you can't spend 25,000 of this. And then,
do we have enough money to do both of the 99,000, in your opinion? I agree with Bob,
I'm not
if we're gonna do
wild.
it, we might as well
yeah, I mean,
jump
if
in
you
with both
want,
feet.
I mean, we could max it out, that'd be fine, that would just, I would still probably, a third of whatever we ask for, I'd probably call it technical assistance to help out with our contract, 'cause I actually think that might be a little bit more urgent with operating money. But then your 33,000 just has to always be sitting there, it's not like you have to send the money in. So we could max it out, I'm a fan of maxing things out, but I know some other people get nervous when you max out your time and your money.
Well,
My husband for one.
and unfortunately, you know, just because of circumstances, we have these resources now, and we've not had them before. And I think we can just max this thing out, and do whatever humanly possible, because this has been 15+ years in the making, and we need to make it happen.
Is there any reason we have to wait till 2026 to get this passed to go on?
Only because that's a regular election.
But what does a special election cost, $3,000? Because we're gonna lose $21,600 on the average.
$4,600, I think.
Well, how much?
I think when they tried to recall me, I thought $4,200,
What, did you
$4,600.
do a special election for your swimming pool sales tax?
No, we already had a recall election that
Oh, so that was in.
we just tacked it onto it. So that
If-
one didn't cost anything.
If we felt like we were ready before, we could do a
I mean, that's
special
2
election.
years, basically, year to year,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
We get about $21,600, just a rough average a year, in 20% of the sales tax. So why wouldn't we try to at least,
Well, and on top of that, right now, the money's coming in and we're not allocating it anywhere, it's just going to our general fund, correct?
Mhm.
So we could use that money for special election.
yeah,
You could.
I mean, I wouldn't wait that long, because
That's a long time. I agree, that's a long, long time.
And I don't think it's gonna be that hard to pass, because you're not increasing the tax, you're
No.
just allocating
We're just
20% of it to go to
Why would
economic
we,
development.
could we look into a special election, what that would cost us?
Yeah, there's no additional tax burden, it's just
No,
reallocating those
it's
funds
just
to the
putting the
economic
funds in
development,
another place.
right?
Yeah, take them back out of general fund and put them back into
Right,
economic
and we
development.
just did the half a cent for the pool, and I realized it wasn't enormous, but we did win that half a percent of people supported it. So I believe that I'm not trying to, I believe the community is well educated and knows and understands that value of economic development, so I think we'll be okay with your help and support to make that happen. I think we can do that,
besides that, I mean, half of our time this time around went to your aquatic center, which would probably go in your general fund or park and rec anyway if you were paying the grant writers right now, for example. So, we can do special election, I would just wanna make sure that we didn't, what is the saying, like, smooth is slow, no, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, that, the community felt comfortable and that they were getting the message that we have our economic development plan more stabilized and we know what we're doing. I mean, you guys have been through a lot since 2009. I don't know what you, like, you adopted this plan, you turned the corner, and then it was one thing after the next. So, I think if we could send the message out that this is our plan, and that we're on solid ground now, and we're still going forward, I just wouldn't wanna I just don't wanna rush it and then have people, because one thing I know is when people feel like they're being rushed into something, then they'll resist, they won't wanna do it. But if we get into next year and we feel comfortable, like, the temperature is good, then we could. I mean, I don't know when, it's a long ways from here to wherever people in Crofton drink coffee, and I don't know how the message will get turned around from, we're not doing grants, we're doing loans now. Like, that will probably take a little bit of time to explain, and we're not doing any more grants, that will take a little bit of time to explain why. So, but you're the experts on your community, and I'm giving you a plan so you can decide what you do and don't like.
But we do have the reassurances, we can put that 20% that we, not into LBA 40 lost for money, but we can put it in economic development, because we have that as an account already.
Right, and I think it's fine that you put it in your general fund, and I think it's fine that you do things like pay me with a city contract. The 20% that's going into your general fund now, it would not be okay to issue a grant to a business out of your general fund. Right, or to issue a loan to a for-profit out of your general fund. So that's really what we're missing out on right now, is having cash to offer to your for-profit people in town, because the voters have not, when you organize taxpayer money, benefit a private business, the voters, the community needs to decide as a whole that that's what we wanna do. And that's what, you can't be doing loans and stuff with the money that's going into your general fund.
But for you as an operational investment, not a cost, that's good. I mean, it's there, the resources are there for us to do that if we put it in economic development.
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, so far, this license, like you said, it's going in the general fund, we've collected $9,000 that could have otherwise gone into LBA 40. Could we use that as part of our matching funds for the grant, so we can match up the grant?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think the state cares where it comes from. I guess I was trying to propose this plan without touching any other piece of your budget, but I think we could do that too. USDA doesn't care where it's coming from, as long as it's not other federal money.
But either way, we still have that 20% as an asset, as for economic development, to pay your wages for, to help us.
Probably a matching
To
fund.
match the grant. Either way, we still have that.
Yeah, and if I know I have your, if I know you're okay with this, we have until February to submit a final application, so I could mess with the formulas a little bit more too, and figure out how we're maxing it out. But that's also why we need larger sums of money, so that we can go after grants like this.
Yes.
I
And then the last thing he wanted me to state was that he wanted me to be very clear in the contract that I wasn't going to be using any city of Crofton employees. So I have in there that I'll secure all personnel at my own expense, but he wanted me to state that none of those personnel will be Crofton employees. So yeah, so a signed contract would be great.
Contract.
So we're gonna sign the contract, we're gonna maximize the money, so it gives you the $99,000, that's what we're doing.
No, we're gonna sign the contract right
Okay,
now.
all right.
She sent the letter of intent in. And
Yeah,
we can
and
figure
then
this out.
we will be in
Yeah,
touch.
So,
Do you need a vote?
You know what, you guys, there's something else I have to tell you about. Okay, so you talked, do this vote and then I have to tell you something else.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay. Miller?
Okay, what are we voting for? Her
Pay her.
contract. This contract.
With the amendments to that were
That our
recommended by.
attorney requested. This is to pay her for the previous 3 months or the next 3 months?
For the.
Just for the
first
next 3
2
months,
years.
but we've been operating without a signed contract because your attorney had several questions. And so I updated the contract based on his questions, and that was just to spell out our hourly rate, to say that we wouldn't utilize any city of Crofton employees, and just to spell out what our direct expenses are. So you approved it in July, but Bob hadn't signed it yet because, your city attorney had a handful of questions. And so there's another document you have that is an answer to all of his questions, and then within that document, I said what I actually changed.
Okay, so yes.
Yes. Murphy? Yes. Pike?
Yes.
Okay.
Jason? Jason Wolby?
Yeah, I said.
No,
No.
you said it's no.
Yes.
Okay. Great. All right.
Okay, and then, you mentioned it briefly, and I was spacing off when Chantel, like, I'll be honest, I was spacing off, I was looking at my phone. And Chantel asked me about the, how you wanted to, your owner occupied rehab funds, that roughly 25,000, and you're gonna reuse them, I think, for sidewalks, right, correct? And then, Irma mentioned that Nina was your grant administrator, when you did that, so, or when you first took out the owner occupied rehab grant to loan to people in Crofton, Nina was your grant administrator. We have this problem in Newman Grove and Bloomfield too, so we're, communicating with the state about these revolving loan funds right now. That's why I told you, it was important that you earmark them as soon as possible, but also, you're probably going to have a grant administrator, you know, like if you're going to use that money for sidewalks, somebody will have to, review the invoices for sidewalks before you use the money to pay for it, right? And then also, confirm that the labor was being paid in accordance with Davis Bacon wages, all the extra, you know. Federal money from the government is like a free dog, right? Grants from the government are like free dogs, so there's stuff that you're gonna have to do if you're gonna spend it on sidewalks. I'm not sure if NENED is gonna administer that for you without charging you above and beyond your dues to do the administration.
Bobby, can I interrupt you? This is leftover money.
Right, yes,
And
I know.
we're not getting any more money in except for one person that didn't pay the bill.
I know.
And so they signed a contract with Northeast Nebraska 3 times to do these handicap sidewalks there. This door here, and cut out uptown.
Right.
And so that's all we're gonna do
So have you signed a contract with them,
with NENA.
with NENED to administer these last 25,000 on your sidewalks?
Yeah, yeah. And we
When did
paid
you
them
sign that
twice.
contract?
Well, the last time, when did we sign it? Last summer, the year before? I think it's been 2 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, Cheryl was still here.
So
Yeah.
DED
From
says,
22.
so part of what we have from DED said in 22? Okay, so I just wanted to, we'll ask and make sure that we're all on the same page with these reuse funds, which we are calling them idle funds. This is exactly, Irma and I are in agreement about what these funds are. I just wanted to make sure that you were clear on the requirements for administrator.
Yeah, the doors were replaced this year, and the sidewalks saw, and that all happened during that. There were 3 resolutions signed at that time, given to her for all of this work. So it's in our minutes.
So you're taking care of it.
I don't talk to anybody, but I have all of that done.
If-
It's in our minutes.
If for some reason that doesn't end up being the case, then just reach out to us. Because we do grant administration, and so if it feels like something's not going well, just make sure to let us help you, or reach out to us. Because I don't wanna tell DEP something that I got wrong.
There was resolutions during the meeting that were taken care of and
Yeah.
signed at the meeting, and she took with her, that I think encompassed all of that.
Okay, was that Andrea Larson?
No, it was, what was her name, Renee or? It's in our minutes, I can look it up for you. It's in our minutes, September, as I said, of 2022,
Okay.
is that her name? I want to say
Okay, that's-
Ryan or Renee or something like that. I can't remember everything.
I don't remember very much at all.
Chantel and Marlene, they did a great job taking care of everything for me, and, as I said, that's just about all I got really, because it was very, pretty busy and getting stuff together, but it's going okay.
Dustin's not here, city code enforcement, was there anything meant, most of from?
He did, have 2 complaints this week. I write out the complaints for him, so I know he actually contacted both of them. One, we have an argument over who belongs to a tree that has fallen and needs to be cleaned up. So they're working on that to get that taken care of. Not only because it fell, but what's left of it is very dangerous and about to come down too. So he's working on that. And he's had some good feedback from one of the houses that really needs repair or torn down in the house. That worked out pretty well, and he's working pretty amicably with him to do something about it, so.
Okay, for me, I guess, Chantel, is it true that checks for the property are in our account, is that right?
They are, it was deposited on November third, and we got the credit CD.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, so we, as you authorized Chantel to transfer resources to CDs at 5 point,
It's a little over five.
little bit 5%, when we had the resources come in from the land. She asked me, I talked to her, and we went ahead and turned that into 3 CDs.